Coming up on today's Locked On Mavs, does it even matter if Luka Doncic is ripped going into training camp? What about the closing lineups in Dallas? And what about the fake James Harden trade going around right now on Mavs Twitter on today's Locked On Mavs?
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome to Locked On Mavs. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, contributor to Mavs.com, Studio 41. And today, riding solo on this glorious, hot Friday, if you're in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for listening to the show every day, for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. If you're audio only, you're listening maybe at the gym, maybe on your way to work on Friday, or hanging out at home, thank you for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Share the podcast with somebody you know this week. And if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, leave a comment below. That would help us out. Here's the question for you today. An in-shape Luka Doncic means what for the Dallas Mavericks? What does it mean? Does it mean something? Does it mean everything? If you want to support the show, you can subscribe on YouTube or text us through subtext. We send out rumors. We send out the latest news. We send out Q&As. This is what I did last night. I shot out a text to everybody and said, hey, give me some questions for tomorrow. We used to do that on Thursday nights, do a little Friday Q&A. Some questions I can't get to on the pod, I'll just answer them. I'll just text you back and let you know my answers to them on there. But you can help us out. You can subscribe on subtext by clicking the link in the description of the show to get signed up. Let's hang out. It's Friday, guys. Let's go. If you work on the weekends, I feel you. All right. I really do feel you. I work on Sundays, but I used to work in retail back in the day. And, you know, working in retail on the weekends, it sucks. And I get it. I feel for you. And hopefully the show can make your work weekend a little bit better. Hopefully. We're going to talk about Luka Doncic probably in this whole first section here. We're going to talk about this fake James Harden trade. I didn't even know about this, whatever. Somebody just texted and say, hey, what do you think about the fake James Harden trade rolling around? I was like, all right, let me go check this sucker out. Lo and behold, Dalton, we know it's you. All right. If there's a fake trade that's insane and outlandish, just go to Dalton's Twitter feed. You know, this is probably the source of it. And that's where it landed me. And I was like, all right, let's look at this Harden trade. So I'll talk a little bit about that, some closing lineups, and some other random questions that I got thrown at me. Let's talk about Luka first. All right, so somebody shot a text and said, hey, if Luka Doncic is in this good of shape, because I mean, if we have to talk about the top storylines around the Mavs right now, it's Luka's body. All right. The body of Luka is the number one thing. I mean, Grant Williams touchdown to Dallas. He did a camp thing for the Mavs. A lot of fun. Super excited for Grant to be here. But I mean, if we're just talking about like Mavs news right now, it's like we're waiting for a future trade. I mean, it's like Luka's body, Kyrie's social media in a good way. Kyrie's been pretty active on social, but it's been some cool things he's been saying. So that's pretty much it for Mavs world right now. Besides Dirk Nowitzki's Hall of Fame enshrinement next weekend. And guess who's going to be there? Yours truly. I'm heading up to Springfield, Massachusetts. So I'll be there for Dirk's Hall of Fame enshrinement and bringing you a bunch of content and stuff. So I'm excited about that. So Luka Doncic, basically the question was, if he's in this good of shape, will this be good enough to get the Mavs back to the Western Conference Finals? Short answer to that, yes, because he's that good. That's like the only thing left in his game for him to reach is in really good physical shape. I mean, he's already dang good at basketball, even when he's not in the best of shape in the world. And that was another text we got on subtext saying, is it that big of a difference if Luka's in shape? Because he was already that good. And the question was, and I get what the question is saying is, And it's honestly probably what's going through Luka's mind is like, hey, I'm already this good whenever I'm not in the peak shape of my life. Is it more about the roster around him, or is it about Luka being in shape? I think it can be both, right? We talk about Luka being in shape for a couple of reasons. When you're not in shape, when does it kill you? Second halves in the fourth quarter. There are too many times, too many games that I'm sitting in the press box and we're up there talking like Luka's gassed right now. And second half. And sometimes the fourth quarter, it's like, all right. That's when, whenever you're out of shape, that's when the little nagging injuries happen a little bit more frequently. Maybe they stick around a little bit longer. It's all this smaller stuff that prevents Luka from hitting this peak Luka Doncic. And if he got in that, good of shape this summer and comes into the season you're looking at MVP Luka, you're looking at the Mavs making a playoff run. He's that good. He's that good. So the answer to your question, is it that big of a difference if Luka comes into camp in really good shape? Yeah, it does. It means a lot, because then your margins for all the other areas of the roster is a little bit smaller, because Luka is just at a whole different level at that point, and for a different level all throughout the game, right? So another question somebody asked in regards to Luka says, is Luka the second best Maverick of all time? Yeah, he already is. I think that's a pretty simple question right there. He is. So I don't even think it's a debate, to be honest. I think the debate really goes to number 3. Who's the third best Maverick of all time? I think you get a lot of different answers, and I think some of the generation stuff might play into that too, of who's the third best Maverick of all time. Some of you might be saying, hey, certain Mavs have more games played, higher on the all-time list and all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. You play in Dallas for a long time. You're going to have, you're going to be up there on some of these franchise leaderboards, but Luka Doncic is the better overall player. He's not past Dirk. Sorry. He's got to win a ring, a few more things before he's past Dirk in Dallas, but he's second best Maverick of all time. Pretty confident in that. And then everybody can debate on who's the third at that point, because I think there's a handful of guys who could be debated for the third best Maverick of all time. And the last Luka question we got in subtext was, does Luka need to be an MVP to win a title? I think this is more of a question about the roster than it is for Luka, and I'll say I want to say yes, just because of they're still lacking some some heavy hitters when it comes to roster wise for an NBA championship. So I think it would take a super in shape Luka winning an MVP type season to propel them for a championship. But I'm not as confident in that. Not as confident to where if you say, for instance, you would say no if they went out and made a big trade and got like a third guy in there or another. And it's like, all right, at this point, it wouldn't require an MVP type season from Luka for them to, oh, my daughter is waking or just woke up, or she's not going to bed. So anybody else have toddlers out there that won't go to bed or won't stay in their room when it's bedtime? Hit me up. You got any solutions? I'd be down to hear it. Maybe that's what I need to do a mailbag on subtext. Guys, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back. Got a lot of other random questions, a lot of non-Luka questions, if it's cool with y'all. But first, this podcast is brought to you by Ibotta. Earlier this morning, I pulled a pork shoulder off my smoker because smoked it all through the night, brought it to some people at work, and had to go to Kroger, pick up some things for basically it's kind of like a barbecue, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you're already doing it. So why not get cash back with Ibotta? Because it's officially summer. You can go pick up all these things at the grocery. It gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get real cash back. that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 to just try Ibotta using code LOCKED. When you register, just go to the App Store, Google Play Store, download free Ibotta app, use the code LOCKED. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the app, Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED. Bingo. Nick needs to learn from me how to do transitions, doesn't he? Just call me One More Thing King or the Transition King. I don't know. Let's stick to the One More Thing King. All right. Let's do some more questions. So somebody sent a text in. It's kind of about the leadership in the locker room. They asked, or they basically said, we talk a lot about the lack of clear and obvious leader in the locker room this season. Who most likely steps up to be the clear leader, coach or player? I think it's Kyrie Irving. Yeah, I think it's Kyrie Irving as the leader of the team. You know, it kind of depends on, you know, when you hear teammates talking, we're going to hear a lot about Dirk, you know, over the next week or so, couple weeks. But when you hear teammates talk about Dirk and his leadership style, even over the years, and everybody's a leader a different way. And I think Luka's going to have his unique leadership style that I think he's still crafting. He's still trying to figure out. I think Kyrie's going to be kind of the natural leader of the team. I'm afraid Grant Williams might think he is, and that's kind of where when you when you listen to when you some of the Boston dynamics of him being a leader here and there, and so I think some of that could get funny at times. But I think it's Kyrie Irving. I think he's going to be one of the main leaders of the team. Luka will be a leader in his own right, and yeah, I mean, we'll see what other vets. Maybe they get another vet in the locker room, something like that. But it's a younger team. I think they definitely do need the vets, and yeah, I mean, they still have some guys. I mean, Dwight Powell's going to be your be the vet on the team that he might not play one night. He might be playing close years. He might be playing like 28 minutes another night. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be one of the main vets of the team too. So I would kind of rank it Kyrie, Dwight, Luka, somewhere in that order. If it was me, Jared Dudley, you know, obviously they respect Kid a lot. So, but yeah, player wise, I think it's them. Another question. Can we currently, let me rephrase, as the roster is currently constructed, can this Mavs team win when Luka sets out? I think as long as you have Kyrie, you can win. Now, win to what degree? If Luka's hurt going to like the playoffs, can you make a deep playoff run without Luka? No, you're not. They're not that good. But can you hold the ship afloat whenever Luka's out in the regular season? If Luka tweaks an ankle or something and he's out, you know, a week or two, can Kyrie and the guys keep the ship afloat? Absolutely. I think then that's when you see the second style, you know, the other style of this team, you know, come out. I think that's when you'll see him, you know, get up and down and run a little bit more. You'll see Kyrie just, you know, pick up the pace. I think you'll see the pace of the team increase just because of the style and how Kyrie, you know, runs things. So, yeah, I think they do, but I'm not like, a lot of it hinges on Kyrie, right? Like it's not like, you know, Grant Williams is a creator. It's not like, you know, whoever your center is right now is a guy you're going to dump it down into the post and say, hey, go get me a bucket. You know, you're going to be asking, you know, Kyrie would obviously be asked of a lot, but then you're going to be asking a lot of Tim Hardaway and Seth Curry off the bench. So it's not a given. I'm not sitting there saying, yeah, they'll be perfectly fine. They'll have to figure out exactly where the points are going to come in, or they're going to have to be just a lockdown defense if Luka's setting out. And yeah, but I'm a little bit optimistic about it. So we'll see. And speaking of my optimism, here we go. Another question says, are we done? Is anything going to happen? And will Isaac's blind optimism run out? No, it will never run out. I still don't think they're done. I mean, I'm probably dumb. Well, I know I am dumb, but I still think they do something. I don't know. I still do. I think, I mean, you got to look at the timeline of things too, right? Like you know, for a lot of the draft picks, you know, if they signed right after the draft, they just became eligible to be, you know, traded just this week. All right. So you know, if any of these bigger trades like Damian Lillard, James Harden, you know, Pascal Siakam, whatever's being discussed right now, if if they wanted to include some of the recently selected players in the draft, they had to wait till they're draft eligible. So we could, if that was what was holding up some of these bigger trades, we could see some of the bigger trades happen, you know, this week or next week. Or what's most likely to happen is everybody's probably on vacation right now, right? Like, I mean, we were just, you know, talking to reached out to somebody the other day and they're on vacation. Like, hey, we come back, you know, as a player, they come back next week. So we're not next week, 2 weeks from now. So like a lot of people's on vacation right now, right? Like there's a front office, players, different people. So what it's probably looking like is you're looking into that September month now. We're probably looking at these next few weeks, pretty quiet. This next month, honestly, I know that y'all don't want to hear that, but this next month of being pretty quiet, hopefully I'm wrong. And then September, as then the next date, the next deadline, if you want to say that, is training camp. Because no one wants to really pull a lot of the stuff into training camp. Then everybody will start reconvening, and then we'll probably see some action happen in September before training camp starts. So optimism is not ran out. I don't think the Mavericks are done. And yes, I do think something before training camp happens for Dallas. And I think it's going to be for a big man, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just go down the list. I mean, I have a ton of random questions on here. I'll save the Harden one for the third segment here in just a second. Somebody said, is Killian Hayes worth trading for? Or basically is like he and Dante Exum kind of an overlap? I would take him for cheap. I just don't see a world in which he's like play. Like you take a flyer on a young guy to see what he's got, and I don't think they have enough space to see what he's got, if that makes sense. So I'm still kind of a believer in him. So I kind of want to see. He's kind of like in the Dennis Smith, you know, zone for me last year. Of man, I really just want to see a team just give him a shot, and that's kind of where I'm at with Killian Hayes. See another team outside of the team that drafted him, and yeah, but yeah, it doesn't feel like a great fit in Dallas because I think Dante Exum is going to kind of play that role for them. Let's do another question, then we'll do a break. Somebody asks, have you seen Kyrie's response to a graphic saying that he can't win without LeBron? He basically said, wait and see. Do you think this means he has really high level confidence in his pairing with Luka? I think Kyrie is a really confident guy. So I really don't take this from Kyrie and say it's something about Luka. I think he's pretty confident in his game, and I think he's confident in this upcoming season. It sounds like, and what's really cool as the Mavs say, it seems like he's just really excited to get back on the court and play some good basketball for the Mavs. You know, this is what you want to see, right? When you sign a player to a massive contract and hand him a lot of money, you want to see him excited about playing ball and be pumped up, ready to go. And yeah, it just feels like he's that way. I mean, he's been pretty active on social media, sharing different things. He shared a thing on his Instagram about, you know, the clip of Luka doing the stare down and all of that. So any overlap of Kyrie and Luka content right now, we're seeing that all up. So I don't know if it's as much as, hey, that means he's confident, which I mean, I think he is in his pairing with Luka. I just think it's more of, yeah, just wait and see. Like, I'm dang good at basketball, and I'm excited to prove everybody wrong in that. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back, and we'll hit this fake Harden trade, and then we'll go through some more. All right. Dang it, didn't hit the music. Here we go. Forgot that it plays over. My bad. I'll get better. Full disclosure, had a soundboard in my cart. All right. In the cart, ready to check out. And then some stuff happened to my car and I had to drop some cash on my car. It was like double whammy. Had to drop some cash to fix my car. And I just booked my trip up to Springfield for Dirk's enshrinement stuff. And yeah, so sorry, no soundboard right now. All right, let's do this. So yeah, somebody wrote, say, hey, what do you think about the fake Harden trade going around? I had to, get on Twitter, try to find this sucker. Led me all fake trade roads lead back to Dalton Trigg that are absolutely insane and crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not that like crazy for the other teams involved. Is basically saying, hey, James Harden to Dallas, DeRozan to Philly, and sign or trade Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway. I think there's some other smaller things like some second round picks, first round pick going from Dallas somewhere in that trade. I think the first round pick was going to Chicago. But so, I mean, for Philly, you're swapping out Harden for DeRozan. So you still win now, still stay good, all that. I kind of get it. You see it. For Chicago, you're swapping out an expiring contract of DeRozan for Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway, get a first round pick. I get that angle too. I think it's great value for Chicago. Is this for Dallas? Like, would you trade the first round pick and Tim Hardaway? Christian Wood's kind of washed because he's not coming back. But for James Harden, for an expiring contract of James Harden, so then what would you think of a James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic pairing? It would be entertaining. As far as like it would make people turn on the TV, and I'm just not like begging for that trio to happen in Dallas. Sorry. I mean, we could dissect this on both sides of the basketball. We could dissect the pairing if James Harden wants to do the pairing again, like he had in Brooklyn with Kyrie. I'm just out on this. So sorry if you're a big James Harden fan and you really want this to happen. I'm probably not your guy to hype this thing up. We would do an emergency pod, but I wouldn't say that, I'm hopping on that, letting it ride and super pumped about it. I think I'd rather say the first round pick, especially because the expiring contract for something else. Let's do some more questions. Somebody said, I saw Isaac in real life and was too scared to say hi. OMG. Guys, really, I'm not that intimidating. All right. Just come say hi. We could talk anything, whatever you want. People have come up to me. Somebody came up to me at church last week. I was like, hey, I'm visiting from LA and fan of Locked On Mavs. So thanks for listening. Thanks for hollering at me at church. And no joke, doing communion one week, months ago. And a guy walked past me. I was serving communion, said, hey, like the pod. It's like, peace out. Boom. Eat the bread, bro. All right. Let's keep going. Starting and closing lineups for the Mavs to start the season. Well, I think it's, here's the thing with the starting lineup. I'm not the biggest, advocate or biggest, hey, starting lineups, I kind of want to do a t-shirt that says starting lineups don't matter. And whenever they do, but to an extent, I think they get a little bit overhyped because people sometimes just make, substitutions 2 minutes into the game. And it's all about the closing lineups. Closing lineups matter the most. Here's the deal with the closing lineup. We know it's Luka. We know it's Kyrie. We know it's Grant Williams. Outside of that, right now, as currently constructed, I don't think anybody's a lock. I think it's going to be matchup dependent. I think it's going to be who has the hot hand. I could see Tim close a game over Josh Green. I could. If Tim's, really hot, they want another shooter out there. I could see a world that Josh Green closes if they want two defenders out there, Josh Green and Grant Williams. I could see a scenario in which they both, they both close a game. Grant Williams at small ball 5. I could see Tim and Josh out there with the guys. I mean, that's a small ball lineup for you. I think Luka's the biggest player on the floor at that point. Could I see Omax closing a game right now? Not right now, but maybe by the end of the year. yeah, so to start the season right now, I'm not gonna, you know, it's Grant, Josh, Luka, Kyrie, probably Dwight, should be Lively. Maybe let's see what Holmes has, but yeah, I think it's gonna be riding the hot hand, and we got to see what, yeah, I think it's gonna be matchup dependent, to be honest. So there's closing lineups. Somebody said, "Hey, how hard will teams play in the midseason tournament?" Man, no one knows. I'm sorry. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, I want to say that they'll try because there's a good little chunk of change on the line. Um, when you get into the qualifying games, those games count for regular season stuff. So that's going to matter when it comes to record stuff. But then, when you get into when they have to fly to Vegas, I mean, I want to tell myself, hey, if they're flying to Vegas and going to do this whole thing, they're going to care. But I don't know. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if a team goes and they don't really care in the play-in tournament, but I want to say that they will. So let's say they will try really, really hard, hopefully. Somebody said, what's the ceiling for this Mavericks team in their current state? The West is going to be so dang hard this year. So the ceiling for this team right now, as currently constructed, is second round max. I think they could beat somebody in the first round. I think it's without upgrading the big spot, without having, anybody outside of Josh to defend the point of attack guy. I think they're going to struggle a little bit to make like a deep playoff run as currently constructed. So I'll say second round max at the moment. And this goes into let's do this as my last question here. I wanted to say the exact here you go. The exact question word for word. Somebody Texas said, should the Mavericks view this season as a get back on track season, a get good vibes, develop rookies, etc. Type of season? No, they shouldn't. I mean, to the extent, yes, they should get back on track and all of that. But you can't go into this season as, hey, this is a building season. You can't tell Luka Doncic, this is a building season. Give us another year or so, and then we're going to be right there, ready to win a title. No, you got to go for it this year. And you got to tell Luka Doncic, you got to communicate that to Luka Doncic that we're going for it this year. And I think you are, because whenever you bring back and hand the money to a Kyrie Irving, you are going for it. Whenever you look at the players they're targeting, like a DeAndre Ayton, a Clint Capella, and some of these other bigs, like those are win now players. Grant Williams he's still young, but he's a win now player. So I think you're going to see the Mavericks really try to thread the needle, right? I think you're going to see them try to develop Omax, Derek Lively, Jaden Hardy. I think you're going to see them win now. They're going to want to win now and have a good record, make the playoffs and all of that. I think you'll see them make another win now type of move, whether it's small or big at some point. So, yes. So I guess theoretically, yes, let's view it as a get back on track season from, hey, we went Western Conference Finals. Last year was a disaster. Let's get back on track to winning and all of that. But if get back on track means let's develop rookies and rebuild and all of that, and then go for it next season, then I think that's a no. And I don't think Dallas is going to do that. Guys, it's been good. My voice is starting to go out a little bit. Struggling right now. So we'll be back on Sunday night. Actually, we'll probably have a little bit of something on Friday, as we have another Slovency game, and as Luka and them have another exhibition game. Obviously, we're going to be covering the games of the World Cup later on this month, so we'll have a lot of fun with that. But we'll be back on Sunday night for official pod, and Nick and I will be back on that one. Guys, have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. And yeah, peace out. Boo.